Skylanders is a monster in the gaming industry, both literally and metaphorically. This toy collecting action-adventure game is released annually now. It manages to keep things fresh from game to game, it seems. I say it seems because I'm not actually a veteran of Skylanders. This is my first ever Skylanders game. But every time I saw a new one released, I always thought, nah, that's for kids, I'm not going to get that. But, you know, it's been nagging at me, you want this, you're a geek, you are a gamer, you're going to want to at least try this. So I folded with Trap Team, and to hell with my street cred, those toys are still pretty cool, even if they are pretty expensive.
Eat this!
It seems to be that Skylanders used to rely on the Spyro name to sell it, but now it's taken a completely new life of its own and seems to have taken over every single console that's on the market. And now with the new current gen consoles like PS4 and Xbox One, the visuals have really stepped up a notch and the game looks absolutely gorgeous. Throughout playing this, I felt as though I was just in some kind of Pixar movie. It's just so refreshing to see something so colourful and vibrant as well, and just seems at opposites to all the other modern violent shooting games that are out at the moment. The basics of Skylanders in this one are no different to the previous games. You get the figures, you put them on the portal to bring them into the game, and then you can level up those figures and take them through your journey and then take your leveled up character to a friend's house so that you can use your upgraded character. Now up to 2 people can play at once, and although there's no online multiplayer, which is disappointing, I had great fun playing this with friends and couch co-op. From what I can tell, the gameplay is pretty much identical to the previous games as well. The last one, Swap Force, introduced a jump button, and apart from that you go around the levels basically destroying everything that isn't nailed down, solving quite simple puzzles and battling bosses. Where Trap Team differs from the previous ones is in the Pokemon style mechanic of capturing bad guys. At first this maybe just sounds like a rip-off of Pokemon, and in a way it is, but what a better way to grab the attention again of all the small kids and big kids out there that really enjoy that style of gameplay. With the starter pack you basically get 2 Skylanders to play co-op and you get 2 traps. The basic concept is that you have the traps, and once you defeat an enemy, these are signposted through small cutscenes so you know which ones you can catch. Basically once you defeat them you place the trap into the portal of the correct element and you'll be able to capture the enemy instead of killing them. And there's around about 40 to trap as far as I can tell. Once you've captured the enemy you can hit the L2 button and your Skylander will be swapped out for the new bad guy. This is quite amusing actually and made me laugh a couple of times, but it's when you start taking down the big bosses that it really gets interesting. The characters in this game are all completely bonkers and really funny. They're just really there for comedy value, but it doesn't really disappoint. The first boss you come across is not really challenging, but it requires more than just button mashing to complete, and therefore it's quite rewarding because you'll get to trap him later and then use him against other enemies. Speaking of difficulty, I'm playing through the game at the moment on normal, and while it's not overly taxing, there have been a couple of tricky battles, and you know, it's not overly easy, so it feels quite well balanced in my opinion. I don't know what the previous Skylanders were like, if they were too easy because it's aimed at kids, but I think they've got the balance right here, and there is a hard mode as well for people who want that little bit extra challenge. Back to the trapping mechanism though, and one thing that had me worried was that I thought you could only use 1 trap per enemy, and once you'd captured an enemy within that trap, that was it. You couldn't swap out any other enemies and you had that enemy within that trap and it would stay that way. But luckily you can swap out villains at your leisure once you get to the hub world. You've got a prison in the hub world where you can keep all the enemies that you've trapped and swap them out for the next level. The portal, the actual physical portal you get with the game, talks to you as well, and the bad guys will comment on how things are going as you're playing along, which is really quite funny, and having an evil sheep cry "bah" at you randomly doesn't get old. Well, maybe it does a little bit, but it's still funny and clever. In game, once you've pressed L2 to swap out for the enemy, you can't play with them infinitely. You're actually timed for how long you can use them, and damage taken will reduce the time that you have with each enemy. What's especially interesting is that the variation in attacks means that you can have a Skylander on the portal that shoots ranged attacks and then swap to a trapped villain that has more melee close combat based attack. Gives the gameplay a slight strategy element. To the negatives then, and there is one thing that bugs me about Skylanders, and will probably bug a lot of people about Skylanders, but it's also the genius of the game as well, and that is there are a lot of new toys to collect. This is now Series 4 of the toys, and this is not a cheap game. You have to pay £50 for the starter pack, and then every model costs about £10, and you have to buy new traps, and it's just a very, very expensive but brilliantly marketed game. More important than anything, it's a whole load of fun.